All right, so now we're going to move on. We're going to talk about what we're here to learn this week, which is design for Six Sigma. Now, the methodology I like to use is DMADV. DMADV, okay? So, need me to pose? I got the video. It's going to be up online. All right, the first phase, define. Now, let me show you the difference between DMADV and DMAIC. So I'm going to put DMAIC over here. This is our problem-solving methodology. And remember, just a quick refresher, it doesn't go this way. You do the measure phase first, see if you have a problem. If you do, you document it, and then you go on and solve it while the DJ revolve it. Nice, nice, baby. For those of you on the video, I'm known as the singing professor, and I'm quite good at it. All right. So, both are called the define phase, and so people say, oh, it must be the same. Well, I would say the define phase is pretty much the same, with the exception here is, what is the problem? Right? And we said typically DMAIC projects, what do you want to make better, faster, cheaper, or go away? You know, if I had to come up with 4 words, you know, I would like my weight to go down. I would like my 5K run time to go down. I would like the cost to drive to Georgia Tech to be cheaper. And in business, you know, we want profit to go up. We want sales to go up. We want cost of goods sold to go down. So that's the DMAIC side. Define in DMADV is, what are you making, building, buying? Again, there's too many words there for me to write. What are you hiring? You know, hiring somebody ought to be a design for Six Sigma project. It forces you to identify what are your needs in measurable terms. Nothing worse than trying to hire somebody for good work experience. What on earth is good work experience? So, that's the define phase. So, what is the problem? DMADV, what are you making? So, it's okay. I told you in DMAIC, don't come in there with a problem that says, well, this is what a mistake I get a lot of times from y'all on the DMAIC side is, the problem is Lee is currently 240 pounds. Goal, implement a weight loss strategy using the Atkins diet. What? No, you're not. You can't know the solution in the define phase of DMAIC. I know what it is, by the way. You make the storyboard for certification after you've done the project. And so a lot of you tend to put the solution that you actually did in the goal statement. No. In DMAIC, you say the problem is Lee's 240. The goal is to get to 225. And then tell me at the end what the root cause is and the solution. Okay? But here it is okay to tell me what you are doing. What are you making? So I love doing this in the fall. I'm going to do Thanksgiving dinner. Right? So that would be a great design for Six Sigma project. Because then you go to the measure phase. All right, now measure here is baseline the Y. So that's our charts and graphs. Remember, the major takeaway here is, I don't believe you. All right? If you need to sing that song, don't believe me, just watch. Right? Then do it. Anything that helps you. So Lee is 240. No way Lee's 2. Oh, okay. I guess you're right. Lee's 240. And it looks like he might have jumped up a little bit there. Okay, so maybe we can research that. Measure here. Who is the customer? Now, we're going to get really detailed here. Who is the customer? And I'm going to ask a sub-question. Are they equal? We'll see a video in a minute where he says, whose needs must we optimize to? Okay? I think all of us have the 1 or 2 people that will tell you that Thanksgiving didn't go well. Right? For me, it was my grandmother. We called her Mama 2. And I guess apparently I named her that. Somebody said something to her one time and I said, that's my Mama 2. And she stuck with it, except she was quite an elegant Southerner, so she wrote Mama Roman numeral 2. All right? But I'll tell you what. We'll get into Kano analysis in a little bit. You best have oyster stuffing or she's not going to be happy. We're from Smithfield, Virginia on the James River. You also better have some salted Smithfield ham. Okay? Now after that, I'll explain. Let me just say this. I made 2 apple pies once when I was 12 from scratch. I'm talking rolled the dough out. I'm talking braided the dough across the top, 12 years old. Sent them to the 2 grandmothers. The one grandmother said, "Oh, that was so nice, Lee. It was a really good apple pie." Mama 2 said, "Good attempt. Crust too salty." She didn't even hold back. This is the woman I told you they'd only closed their store once on a business day, and it was when I was born. And she's telling me the story. She said, "We drove to Richmond, Virginia to see you. I put a big sign up in the store. It said, 'It's a boy.' She said, I come back later that night and I told everybody, 'Don't get too excited. It's the ugliest baby I've ever seen.'" But then she said, "Oh, but you turned out all right." That's why I don't even know how to take that. So they're not all equal. But here's the cool thing. If I optimize to her, I'm probably going to have a nice, happy Thanksgiving because she's the one that's going to complain. Now, here's the flip side, though. Does everyone like oyster stuffing? Just think stuffing with oysters in it. Raise your hand if you say, "No, I'm not too keen on that." Right, so what do I have to have? I got to have some regular stuffing off to the side because you can't have Thanksgiving without some stuffing, right? Now, I'm gluten-free. I might be able to slip in some cornbread stuffing and you not complain at all, you see? So that's what we're trying to do. Whose needs must optimize to, and can I meet one group's needs and satisfy others? The major takeaway here is we may not be able to meet everyone's needs. And this is where Salesforce.com implementations have failed. You know, without exception, every company that I work with that has the software, the problem that we work on in DMAIC is currently 68% of salespeople have not logged into Salesforce.com. Now, the numbers are different, but I don't have a single client that hasn't had that issue. Makes a great DMAIC project. But almost without exception, the root cause is that you prioritize to the executives' reports when, in my opinion, sales is the most important customer. And if you make it difficult to put information in Salesforce.com, guess what sales is going to do? They're not going to log in. And that's exactly what's happening. Sales should have been the primary customer of your rollout. You should have made that thing so easy for, and you know, I tell executives all the time, and you got an admin assistant. It might take 4 hours to run the sales report. But if I can get it down to seconds for the sales guy to put the information in there, or woman, you're going to have a lot of information in the report. Right now, they're running reports with nothing in it. Okay? All right, so that's measure. Then we're going to ask, what do they want? Right? We're going to ask, what do they want? Right? And then we're going to ask that question again. Are they all equal? Right? Because not all needs are equal. It's sort of like, again, you're designing a romantic weekend. And she said, "I want 4 hours of uninterrupted time." All right? Then we made good food as, I want to eat at restaurants where the entry-level glass of wine is $12. So now Applebee's is out, darn it. Right, ladies, just help us, man. If you could say measurable things like that, I can just cruise by and look at the menu. Shoot! Oh, Charlie's is out. They got a $6 glass. All right? So, we've made quality time together measurable. We've made restaurant measurable, right? And then we would just ask, well, sweetheart, I found this place in the mountains where there's no cell phone service whatsoever. There's no cable in the hotel, but the only place to eat is Grandma Jean's, and she only serves 2 types of wine at $4 a glass. Right? Can we go? Right? All right. So they can't all be equal. And then just a little subtext to this. We're gonna break those up into must-haves, and I'll call them nice-to-haves, or let's put it another way. More or less is better. More or less is better. What is oyster stuffing for my grandmother? A must-have or a nice-to-have? Must-have. Okay. More or less is better actually would be the saltiness of the ham. You've got to have the ham, but you know, there's a point where a good southern ham can be too salty. By the way, if anyone ever gives you, I was dating a young lady, her parents were from the Philippines, and I gave them a Smithfield ham for Christmas. They didn't know that they were supposed to soak it in water for like a day to get all the salt out. They tried to eat that thing straight. It did not go well. They thought I was trying to poison them, I think, at that point. Who is this man you're bringing home? He tries to kill us with salt. So in that case, less salt would be better. Okay? I must have a four-wheel drive truck. Just not even going to bother with it. Miles per gallon, more is better. Right? All right, the next phase, analyze. Now, in DMAIC, we are simply identifying the root cause, which could be the many possible X's. This is where we're playing detective. The measure phase is we've got our crime scene, right? We've baselined the crime scene. Now we're trying to figure out who did it. The analyze phase over here is your high level design alternatives. You might even have made some key sourcing decisions at this point. I haven't fully, here I'm going to kind of get a high level idea for how Thanksgiving's going to go, but for sure I've already sourced the oyster stuffing, right? Like that, I've done. But I still might be able to go, we could do it at Golden Corral, right? We could do it at home. We could potluck it. We could have it catered, you see? So this is kind of where you're going to make that final decision, okay? So this is where I must have a four-wheel drive truck, miles per gallon, and I'm down to Chevy, Ford, and Dodge. Because I'm sorry, but Toyota and Nissan and Honda, they still can't make a good truck, all right? Got to buy American, although nothing's American anymore, right? They're all made in all over the world. All right, so improve for DMAIC. You have the X's. So it's no longer subjective. You have the X's. Lee's X's for weight gain, wine. And it's actually a correlation. It's really more of a regression equation. As Lee's wine consumption goes up, calories go up. And the worst calorie occurrence is that they're in the evening after I've used up, my energy sources. So those calories are going to just hang on, okay? So I've got the X's, but now you have to come up with the solution. So I'm still battling this. I teach in Savannah a lot. Do I stay at a hotel close to the campus that does not serve free wine? They're all right there. Yes, but the problem is then I don't get to ride my bike. I really like to cycle when the weather's nice. And if I stay on River Street, I'm 15 miles away, so I get 30 miles a day on my bike. The problem is I know where the hotels are that serve free wine. I don't even have to stay there. I've stayed there so much, I just roll in. Oh, Mr. Lee, I didn't know you're here this week. Yeah, totally. Fill my glass. Going on a bike ride? Yep. Be back later tonight. Right? So, yeah, it's because I keep telling myself, well, the calories burned will compensate for the 2 glasses of wine I'm going to have, but then I end up raiding the dessert bar in my room. So it's a vicious cycle. I have not mastered this phase is what I'm saying. Control. Make it stay fixed. Frankly, I'm just tempted to hook myself to a 3,000 calorie a day IV and just push it around with me. And now I love that Burger King commercial where he was hooking up an IV for lunch. I'm like, yes. All right, now let's come over here. Improve. It's the details. It's the details. So, I want leather seats or you want cloth seats, right? But still, these are being made based on some of the things that you've heard up here. I'll tell you right now, any parents in here, we know if you're going to have young kids riding around in that truck, what seats should you get, leather or cloth? Leather. You say, oh, leather's expensive. No. You try to get those Kool-Aid stains out of that seat when you want to sell it. Not happening. So get leather. Or, again, this is where you get into the you know, the wonderful cost benefit type stuff is maybe you can get those Duramax liners now they sell for the, I saw they have a car seat cover now. The ice, you know, there's a commercial with ice cream falling off. You know, maybe there's some cost benefit. The point is everyone starts here and has no understanding of who the customer is and what they want. You're rolling out software and you start here. I've seen it. What do you want in your report, Mr. Executive? What do you want to know? Ooh, I can have the report calculate ROI for you on the spot. You didn't realize that sales are not, they don't like it. It takes too long to enter a sales transaction. I'm not going to use it. It's keeping me from selling. And most of the salespeople I interview too, in terms of why they're not using it, they say, I don't see it useful. Doesn't give me any information. So here you are, designing the details, and you didn't get the customer right. All right, this is where most people start. You know, does anyone have that place around town that's been 5 restaurants over the last 7 years? There's always that one building, right? And then the next restaurant opens and you're like, what are they thinking? I almost feel like at that point the location has such a bad rep that no one even bothers to go. But in a lot of the cases, it's you sitting around the living room going, oh, my grandmother made the best meatballs. We should start a meatball restaurant. And someone's going, oh, I have a logo design. Ooh, I saw some cool napkins the other day, and off we go. And then we open the restaurant. It dies 6 months later because we didn't realize that 80% of the community we live in is vegetarian. I've seen it, and we didn't have a tofu meatball, right? Just the word tofu. It just doesn't even, like, it doesn't look good. It's all white and gelatiny. And then it's called tofu. I feel like I hear food in my head, right? Anybody with me? It's like, why would I eat that? All right, not to offend any vegetarians, but I don't know how you do it. All right, but you can make so many things out of tofu. Yeah, you can make clay. You can make dinosaur shapes and build bridges with it. All right, and the last phase is verify. And I'm sorry, this is not improve, it's design. I knew I spelled something wrong. I knew something was wrong. But it's lining up with the improve phase. That's what I meant. So define, measure, analyze, design the details, and verify, did it work? And what is verify? It's your soft launch. You know, some restaurants have a soft opening, but even there they mess up. What's the mess up? Anyone been to a soft opening of a restaurant? Can you guess what the mistake is in the soft opening? Who do they invite? Their friends and family who won't be brutally honest with them. Soft opening, invite the locals. Invite the Yelper in the area that doesn't always give good reviews. Because you know they're going to hit you within the first week of opening, right? So, you know, test drive the vehicle. But it's more than that. It's hooking it up to your boat and driving around with it before you buy it. Quick example, I thought I would get an electric car. And so I went through the process here and I ended up doing the Nissan Leaf. One of the things I must be able to get to Georgia Tech and back without having to charge. I don't have the luxury of being able to walk out randomly throughout the day and plug in a car, right? Not to mention there's only 2, I think at the time there's only 2 chargers, okay? So I asked the guy, how far will the car go on a charge? And he said 70 miles. Well, Georgia Tech is 30 miles from my house. Perfect. So I got 30 miles, I'll go home, I have 10 miles left, I can charge it. So I leased the car. And I hopped in and I headed on down to Georgia Tech. By the way, it said 90 when I pulled out of my garage. It said 90 miles. And then I made it about 3 miles from the house to 400 and it said 70. I said, wow, that's a lot of miles. This isn't looking good. And then I got to Georgia Tech and I had 25 miles left on the charge. And I called up immediately and said, you have to take this car back. There's chargers at Georgia Tech. I'm like, I can't go out there. So now I had like, anyone have an electric car? Like charge anxiety. Can I go? I don't know. Can I make it? Can I get home? Is it possible? And they're like, you can just charge anywhere. Well, they didn't tell you it takes like 8 hours to charge the car. Yeah, I see these people now at Nissan and places just leaning on their hood, waiting for the thing to charge up. But you know, I can get gas faster than that. So anyway, I completely messed, I mean, it did not work, and I regret it. I should have asked to use that car for a couple days to see. I should have rented one, basically, if it's possible. And so that would be another way to do this phase, is rent the truck for a while. Borrow a buddy's truck, see if you like it. But that's basically DMADV. So DMADV, you can make something. I would just stress the overarching theme of DMADV is this piece right here. This is where all the work is. Who is the customer? What do they want? I was a vice president for a big bank one time, and they said I forgot what they were designing, but basically, I'm going to walk off video for a second. So, I'm going to grab this paper. Basically, they said, well, Lee, what's this design for Six Sigma, and why do we have to use it? And I go, what are you building? And they gave me a book for a piece of software. And it was all like must work in OLAP, must use C++, font size of 12, must use Blue Arial. And then I said, who's the customer and what do they want? Oh, well, I mean, they want a way to enter invoices into the system. And IT just runs off and gets, that's the language they speak. Off we go. And then you say, well, wait a second. IT then launches it. Anyone ever have IT just launch something and go, there it is, use it. And you're like, I just want to be able to take a picture of the invoice with my phone and have it go in the system. Oh, yeah, no, you just need to type it in. And so they should have backed off. And by the way, when I was at GE, we used this for all IT development, and IT loved it because when someone said, could you make us software to track projects? We would say, sure, what do you want? Well, we want it fast, cheap, and easy to use. Great. When you tell me what fast, cheap, and easy to use is, I'll make it. Oh, by the way, you got to tell me which one's more important. And of course, we would facilitate that. And by the way, this actually makes, like I've done a lot of software launch with this and IT stuff, and it makes it go so fast. I implemented a piece of software for Johnson & Johnson for the whole corporation in 45 days. Using Design for Six Sigma, and we'll talk about that as an example. All right? So any questions about what we're going to do? No? All right.